minds and welcome to the RIPTIDE Afterparty, the party where everyone's welcome except for Curtis Chapman. We're going to be using this episode to discuss the Pride of Brighton tournament, which has just kicked off in a brand new venue. It's a brand new tournament. We'll talk all about that in a minute. Joining me in this party, we've got, of course, promoter Josh.
Yo.
We've got creative booker Tom.
Hello.
And we've got the RIPTIDE, what do we call you? Graphics master?
Department.
Art department.
Yeah.
The one-man art department. It's like a one-man wrecking crew, but more creative. We've got Brett.
Hello.
Pride of Brighton. Let's kick things off. Josh, Tom, formerly you've only been based at the Brighthelm Centre in the centre of Brighton. Now you're at the Brighton Youth Centre, which is, it's still central Brighton, but it's nearer the pavilion side of things.
Yep.
Why? Why a new venue?
Well, I think the real question there is what's changed that allows us to run a different venue and do a different format, you would say. Because, when we were looking at doing Riptides, the style and the tone and the format has evolved over time, but there was a certain set of choices that were made from the off around what the brand values were of this thing, and now taking on things that sort of diverged from that. So lower cost show, focusing on youth, blah blah blah, different venue, this and that. That's possible now that there is a context of the main brand. If we'd have started diverging focuses before now, I believe that would have confused the main product. And now that sort of is established as its own thing to a degree, we can branch out and do other things.
So you wanted to build up your raw audience before you started SmackDown?
You could say that.
I have said that.
You've just said that. That's something you've just said.
Tom, have you got anything to add to this?
I think it was important and increasingly important as the scene has progressed since we've begun in investing in the future. And with doing these extra shows isn't just a step in the right direction for investing in younger talent. It also allowed us, with a new venue, to have an all-ages audience for the first time. And I think that's going to be really important moving forward as well with growing Riptide, to be able to make sure that every age is catered for.
But it is your first family-friendly show. So how would you and Josh say you approached it differently? What are the differences of doing family-friendly as opposed to just doing a regular Riptide show, which is for adults?
I wouldn't say that there was really that much difference apart from asking people not to use harsh language. I think we always put a real emphasis on the knowledge that every show is somebody's first show, and I think opening it up to a new age range meant that you're more likely to have people come in for the first time. So I think, in starting the show with a colourful match like a Chikara versus Cassius, for instance, like we did, that desensitises perhaps an audience to intergender wrestling. Yeah, it just really sort of sets the bar for what you're going to see.
In terms of marketing, this show was more a Riptide show that you can bring your kids to. So there wasn't a lot of direct marketing towards like a family market, which there'll probably be more of for the bank holiday shows. The shows at the Brighthelm are 18 plus, because of licensing reasons, and because of that absence of kids, there's a lot of swearing and a lot of swearing in the crowd. We don't really do much other than the language that I don't consider suitable for kids, to be honest with you. So I guess some of the beatdowns, I guess, could be described as a bit intense, and some of the behaviour from a Spike Trevay is actually genuinely menacing, but so's Paul Robinson. He's genuinely menacing.
Well, he did spring to mind when you said about booking family friendly, and you announced him for the main event. My first one.
Oh no! He's a professional. The guy's been around the block, and he's wrestled more matches than several members of the card put together. And he's done family friendly shows. Exactly how to change up his act very subtly.
I think it's just such a testament to Paul Robinson as the sort of Robbo character. I've seen him in tights as a high flying babyface, but I only think of him as the vicious, nasty dog of Essex.
Terrifying.
Yeah,
he's terrifying.
Utter conviction in that character that you are scared that it's going to bleed into such a context.
Yeah, there's a wrestling show popping up in sort of my hometown in Ely, Cambridgeshire. And my brother mentioned that it's a fantastic card that Ambush Wrestling are putting on their first event, Awaken the Fens. And my brother mentioned that he was getting some friends along from up the road because he was very, very excited about the prospect of them seeing Paul Robinson. Because he said they just won't have seen anything like him before. And I disagree with that because there's a strong chance they would have seen something like that before. You know, you have seen that before, but you've always been like on edge as fuck because like some guy's absolutely kicking off on the bus or whatever.
He is that. Yeah, you don't know that he's not going to blur that line.
I just want to still touch on something Tom mentioned about promoting the future of wrestling. The undercard was made up of a really interesting mix of Riptide regulars and newcomers. So I guess from your point of view, how would you pick, or why did you pick some of these people to be a part of the show? So if we pick like Cassius, he's appeared at your Rumble before, but he hasn't had a singles match before. What made you think Cassius is the guy we want for this job?
Well, I think he's absolute dynamite, and in that regard, he's fantastic. He's absolutely fantastic, and sort of optically, I absolutely fits the profile of both family friendly stuff and of a tournament for a division for younger and smaller wrestlers. Yeah, it's just absolutely perfect for it.
It's of course, and you do need to feed the lifeblood of the industry if you have got the more established talent getting signed other places, moving up. So was it a very conscious mix of sort of 50% known regulars and 50% newer talents, or am I reading too much into that?
Yeah, no, there wasn't like as you might have, you know, the old booking strategy of switching up your people with sort of imports. No, it's just that Sugar Dunkerton, Gene Money and Cassius were the three people that debuted at the Rumble that wrestled on this show. Yeah, we weren't really necessarily consciously cutting them with the regulars like Mills and OJMO and Candy Floss and Jordan Breaks and Curtis Chapman and the Anti-Fun Police and Shakara. It's just that we had some space to further use them, and that's one of the fantastic things about being able to branch out into a different venue, different set of shows with a different cost base and a different set of expectations from the fans.
And then on the main shows as well, I think those have an added level of gravitas now as well, that there's a sort of, you know, something for the people on the you know, shows like the Pride of Brighton can actually aim to achieve to get onto the main shows as well.
Spinning off of that, it's very interesting as well. You've created this Pride of Brighton medal, which is... Oh, he's reaching.
There it is.
Oh,
Nice.
Hefty. You could bash someone's skull in with that. I'm not recommending it. Just like, if you had to, you know. If there were some Nazis coming at you and you need to swing something, I'm just saying it's there.
Listen, yeah.
No, but I've obviously heard of belts for smaller sort of cruiserweight style forms before. I've heard of titles for under certain ages before. This is an interesting combination where you have to be under... Well, you tell me, what are the regulations for that?
Under 205 pounds in weight, or under 25 years of age. You only have to fill one of those criteria to be able to compete.
I think that's great. I think that opens it up in all kinds of interesting avenues, and particularly as a medal, not as a title belt. Why is that?
I mean, one of the reasons is because the Brighton Championship isn't the largest plate in the world. That's by design, but to go smaller than that as a belt might be starting to look a bit tiddly. So why not redefine it as something that is that's meant to be tiddly?
I mean, you say tiddly. You know those mugs you get through Sports Direct sometimes, which are just huge. I mean, that's about the width of it, I think.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, as a medal, it's pretty chunky. And I just think it's you know, part of the concepts that I've enjoyed putting together with Alan O'Neill, and Brett here for all of this stuff has involved mayoral chains and things like that, and like that as an aesthetic. I've always quite liked. A lot of people will probably pick up on there's a very strong video games design influence in our championships.
Bioshock.
Well, it's funny, like so the first brief I think I gave Alan O'Neill as monument for the for the Brighton Championship, 3D design was like aquatic Art Deco, because Brighton, right? I live in Saltdean, the Grand Hotel in Saltdean, old Art Deco building. Use that as some of the references to some of these artists. And he just says, "Oh, so Bioshock." I'm like, "Yep, okay, let's go." And then the fact that he's a video games designer, obviously in the methods he employs with the 3D design and such, that then gives it the level of influence. I just think it's kind of rad that you'd have holding 2 championships in Riptide. I don't know how that would work, by the way. Perhaps not. It wouldn't be 2 belts. You don't have 2 belt slots on an RPG, do you? So let's get something on the round the neck spot, and let's get something on the girdle spot.
I've seen Zack Sabre wearing 2 belts at once, and it just looks like he'd have trouble if he dropped something. He wouldn't be able to bend over.
Yeah, exactly, restricting the movement. So we'll see.
What I really like about a medal and having a belt as well is that when people come to the show for the first time, as I mentioned, like sometimes you hear things like, "Oh, who's that? Oh, that's the champ. I thought that other person was the champ." They had a belt, and actually it's a nice way of differentiating and making sure that everyone knows, where people are in the pecking order.
Yeah, there's a clear distinction of hierarchy there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like from medal to belt.
Well, I mean, speaking of the design element, Brett, let's move on to yourself. You obviously had a part of the Pride of Brighton to play. I suppose I want to talk to you about 2 things: stickers and posters. We are looking at some of these excellent stickers which were made for the tournament. The tournament's still ongoing, so they're still around, still available. To describe them to listeners, in design, they're almost like old, Topps cards or something, where they have rankings. So, for instance, I picked up a Candy Floss sticker, and it's got Strength 5 out of 10, Speed 8 out of 10, Techers 10 out of 10, Cunning 6 out of 10. There's something like that for each of the participants. But then the actual design is like an old football album, like with the foil stickers. These are like the shinies you'd get in the pack, and then go, "Do a swapsies, 2 shinies for 3 of your others." How much of an element in this design did you have with the sticker?
How much of an element?
Yeah, did you come up with it? Did you?
Well, the top trumps was definitely Josh's idea. Josh likes to throw some bits at me that I have to do, and then the rest is just like whatever I come up with. I mean, each show, because I think you're sort of repeating shows, year on year, so I'm trying to give them, at this point, each their own sort of branding look, so that each, it's slightly different, but each year, it will look similar and be in the same vein, and all the elements just sort of follow on from that. So, that comes into colour, illustration, theme, all those elements come in. There was that, and then it's just, I just try and not sort of just do the wrestling thing with Riptide stuff. Like, there's plenty of people and there's plenty of promotions, like independent promotions and stuff, doing the wrestling thing. So I'm trying to bring, I guess that Brighton, anything goes with Brighton. There's a whole world of cool stuff. Let's bring it so perhaps it opens the doors to more than just your regular wrestling fans as well.
That's a great
like soon as it was like, do you want to add foil? We could add foil. I'm like, well, we're definitely adding foil. If you're giving me that option, I'm definitely taking it. I'm not going to do it without, as shiny and as sparkly and as many, special things we can do, then I'm always going to say yes.
Well, I'll tell you what I love about the foil, and it's not just that it's shiny and I like shiny things. It's the colour aesthetics. It's black and white images of the wrestlers, then you've done colour sort of neon highlights.
Yeah.
And then the silver plays off that. So it really does. It's quite minimalist colour-wise if you look at it full on, but it really pops between the shine and the colours that are there. It really goes, whoa.
No, definitely. Well, and because of the vibe of the the wrestling I was expecting to see in this tournament, both the looking to youth and stuff with the competitors, I wanted it to look vibrant, and energetic. So that's why there's all these crazy neon sort of markings and colours in there. It's to bring it sort of to a younger, energetic sort of style, so it all plays in to what comes out at the end.
And it certainly aesthetically sort of lines up with the posters you did. As you said, you're trying to give everything its own feel.
Yes.
I mean, the posters really do stand out, because obviously the last year's worth of shows you've been doing sort of hand-drawn artwork of action scenes, I guess.
Yes.
And then for this it is sort of the competitors lined up with the black background with all the highlighting going on.
Yeah.
How do you decide where to put the highlights or which colours to use for each person? If you look at Jordan Breaks, he's got some big chunky sideburns in real life, and I think you gave him electric yellow bolts coming off his cheeks.
I think I did, didn't I?
Does it write itself in your brain, or?
Yeah, it's literally like I've got the image. Where does it feel natural? I think the more experience you get, the more obvious the decisions you make with this stuff are.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always trial and error. Like I do so much by eye. You've got as I say, you've got sort of some things that won't work, but through experience. But yeah, it's just like what will work with this image, and those sideburns had to have something.
Well, I suppose we should get on to reviewing the actual show. Brett and I were both there as punters. Obviously, Josh and Tom were working it. So I think between us, we've got quite a nice angle on what we saw from the crowd, as opposed to how you felt putting the show on. With the matches, let's not give spoilers, because it isn't on demand yet. So I think it's unfair to ruin the endings. We're not to discuss who wins or how, but we'll just talk about the matches in a general sort of sense.
Okay.
Before that, the venue itself. Now, I had my own thoughts on this. We'll see how you respond. And Brett, please back me up as a fellow punter. The positives, first of all, to describe this to listeners who may not have been there yet and can't watch it on demand at the time of recording, the youth centre is filled with graffiti. So it looks different to any other wrestling venue I've been in, which are normally sports halls or arenas or even village fetes or anything like that, where things are kind of somewhat plain, functional. This looks different. It looks like it really stands out, like it's his own identity. Just being in there with the wrestling ring, I was like, fuck yeah. It looks like a Beastie Boys video or something.
Yeah, it's amazing aesthetics. Like all that graffiti, and then there's the timber and the old brick as well. And it's like, because it's an old building, it's got a bit of like, and obviously the basketball court sort of aspect. Yeah.
To me, it's like, I use a Street Fighter analogy quite a lot when we're discussing the Riptide, but I think it just felt like a different stage, didn't it? Like a little grassroots kind of background.
Yeah, and I'd obviously can't wait to see the video on it, but already seeing the photos, it did exactly what I expected of it.
That's my second positive, is looks great in photos.
Yeah.
The ones I've seen from James Musselwhite, just someone pulling on a submission move, and in the background you've got this colourful graffiti. It's fantastic. It gives you, I know it's not technically your own branding, but it gives a sense of brand because it doesn't look like any other wrestling promotion.
Absolutely, there's the context in there. I mean, there are a few wrestling venues that I know IPW run quite a lot of skate parks that tend to have bits and bobs in them. So I'll completely ignore that. But in the context of Riptide, we don't run any places like that in the Bright Helm. So it definitely gives it a context, self-sufficient to us. And yes, most shows aren't run with a load of graffiti there. So. Yeah.
I mean, I should say, we've been at the Res Gal and stuff, and that's obviously got sort of downtrodden look in a good way. Like it looks cool for it. But this just felt one step beyond, at least to my eyes. Again, I don't follow every promotion. I've not seen every British company out there. It's new to me.
Of course.
The other real strong positive I thought for the venue is that you could see from every angle really clearly. Wherever you were sat or standing, it seemed like a perfect view. I don't think there was any bad view in the place.
Delighted that you feel that way. I mean, again, it's one of the things that we put a lot of thought, resources, and ongoing work into maintaining the tiered staging areas. And it was nice to try them out as a seated variant without any, just people using them as steps to sit on. Yeah, that's something we put a lot of thought into all the time, because you're always giving the audience the most value for their money, the better they can see. Any wrestling is going to get over better if everyone can see it better. People are going to be more engaged if they can see.
As a short person, I appreciate it. No, I always have to get early to make sure I get decent spot, because I am short and I will quickly not be able to see.
Well, it's not a problem in this venue, let me tell you. The negative, I say negative, I think an overall negative is that it is further from Brighton Station. Now, it's not actually far, it's a 10-15 minute walk, but compared to Brighthelm, which is 5 minutes, for someone who's never been in Brighton, you can say, walk out, turn left at this road, and you're there. Was that a concern for you at all?
It's definitely a detractor from the venue. I would have preferred that it was closer to the station if possible. Equally, I am very satisfied with how central it still is nonetheless.
Yeah.
One of the things that's nice that someone pointed out is it's a lot closer to the beach than the Bright Helm.
Yeah.
that I think will be nice for people coming to the shows once they kind of clock that it's closer to the beach, and people are seeing a little bit more of Brighton. They're going into the Kemp Town side of town, which they wouldn't have to going into a Brighthelm show.
I suppose it potentially makes it more of a day out if you're coming for the show, is that you've got a reason to go through the rest of the rest of the city and
absolutely
eat where you want, chill on the beach, then go to a show.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we would want to consider in future is we'd probably do those shows a little bit earlier in the future if we were running them on a Sunday again, just because there is that further consideration for people travelling. Even though the difference is maybe 10 minutes walk or so, I think someone knowing that they've got to duck and get a train from the Brighthelm is a completely different sort of attitude to having to duck and get one from, because like you say, it's not just left straight, there you are. Like you can see the station almost immediately when you leave the Brighthelm. And so we want to build in a bit more flexibility and a bit more comfort for people travelling because of that. But yeah, as we said, I'm kind of happy that it's close to the beach. And
Okay.
Fucking hell, MJ, what more do you want from me? New venue, like Jesus Christ, mate.
So Brett, you're obviously in the audience along with myself. Any other thoughts on the venue, just in general terms from yourself?
Not really. I liked it because there was like loads of seating. I managed to be later in the queue and get a nice central front row seat, which was amazing. Especially with everyone flying out of that side, which was cool. But no, I just thought it looks great. But it's great that it looks great in a different way to the way the Brighthelm looks great. And again, I think that ended up adding to the whole idea of having the younger guys, have their own aesthetic, I guess, in total. So I thought it was great.
I loved it. I loved the venue. I thought it was fantastic. I think it's really interesting that Brighthelm and the Brighton Youth Centre are so different, in that Brighthelm, obviously it can look very slick and stylish, which is great for the product, but also the Youth Centre looks sort of rough and ready. They complement each other because they're so different.
Yeah. The contrast is very nice.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll get on to the actual event, I guess. The matches. This is not in order. I've just jotted things down. So your opening match, obviously Shakara versus Cassius. I guess we should cover what were our thoughts, Brett, or did you enjoy the match, things like that, and then we'll talk to you guys about it a little bit. What were your thoughts on the match?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think what Shakara does best is bring character and that heel persona. I absolutely loved Cassius from the Rumble, so I thought his booking was almost guaranteed after his performance, like he booked himself, I guess. Like that screech he does, that's that high pitch. He's so much fun. But it was good. It had great energy, great story. I mean, I liked overall, and I think we'll mention it. Like there was just this, which I love from when say you watch like a New Japan show or something. There's this great balance of different types of matches, some that are really story based or really character based, some that are more fun, some that are really hard hitting. It's just like really fun start. So I really enjoyed it.
I thought it was a great choice for an opening match. Something you said on the daytime, I don't know if you remember this, but you said Shakara at the end of the show, first female heel versus male face match in Riptide history. I thought it was an interesting, it hadn't crossed my mind until you said it, and then I was like, well, that makes a really cool little statement in itself for the match. I think is that freshening things up, looking for new angles for the show. And I'm quite proud of this. I've written down big pops for attitude versus bratitude. I'm quite pleased with that one.
Nice.
But what I meant by that is there's a particular sequence near the start which involves at one point one of them getting pulled down by their hair, and the crowd really reacted brilliantly to it. And I think that is a little microcosm of the match, which is people were following it. It stood out for the two people involved, and it set the tone for the evening.
And the eyebrows moment when Shakara had to go to his eyebrows, and Cassius was just like,
that was the moment,
like a rocket from then was brilliant. She'd been absolutely brilliant,
knocking 8 shades of shit out of Cassius for like 5-10 minutes, and then the comment about his eyebrows was the one that really set the whole cup.
And that was the focus of the promos in a lot of ways.
Yes.
Was like, if these two people were to have a disagreement with each other, what would they be talking about? They'd be talking about each other's like grooming, like they they would like it's so good to be able, or so satisfying to be able to bring in elements of the cultural references that the matches are built around. It wasn't about new metal and whatever, drinking beers. Like the cultural reference there was Drag Race, and that was that these are cultural elements that are meaningful to the talents, and meaningful to much of the audience. And I'm delighted that as you say, that was that got over as the focus for the match. The promos are fantastic. Going into this, they're calling each other trash and it's fucking great.
I think where I was showing people who are a little bit more au fait with Drag Race than with New Japan, I think it just translated. It's a good way of reaching out to people.
Another first round match for the Pride of Brighton tournament, OJMO versus Curtis Chapman. Now you'd picked this, I think, as your predicted match of the night, Tom, on the last show.
I may well have.
You don't know. Okay.
I'll say anything, me.
I think arguably this was the match of the night. It was really interesting. You've got obviously the very hated Chapman, and OJMO is very easy to like and get behind.
Yeah.
But I really liked their use of the venue. The fact that they did stuff in the crowd. There's a moment involving a banana. It's not perverted, but it was fun. Everything about that match to me clicked on point. All the false finishes and the tension.
Yeah, and all the counting to 10 moments outside the ring.
It gets the crowd in.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Again, I think that was great heel work. You've got amazing heels at Riptide. Definitely some of the best.
Little pricks, man. Fucking Jakar and Curtis, wankers.
Curtis as well, trying to get through to the next round with a cheap count-out victory.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of heels and wankers, sat right in front of me was Lord Gideon Gray, who insisted on commenting to his driver Barbara throughout the match, and had his own sign up, and he was clearly Chapman's only fan in the building.
Basically, yeah.
I got to admit, it did add an extra layer to it for me just watching him.
It was great. I was looking over my shoulder.
He wasn't at all distracting from the match, but if you watched him in a quiet moment, it just added to it. I thought.
Layers.
I just thought it was a very exciting match to watch, I guess.
It's a 4D experience.
It was.
Very satisfying and very comforting to, second match on the show. And the building was hot, They were hot for it. And that was just so good to have that so early on in the endeavour of putting on shows there. Good job, lads.
Yeah. Another tournament match, we had Candy Floss versus Shay Purser, I should say. To be honest, the only thing I've written about this was Shay shows a lot of skill at being very clumsy.
That was a brilliant Norman Wisdom moment, wasn't it?
He is the most slappable man I think I've ever seen. I'm sorry, he might be lovely, I've no idea, but I do just
It's even his attire as he comes out, it's just like, intern office wear. It's not even like, I know he was being called a manager, but it's just the trousers and the white shirt. It just makes you hate him before he's done anything.
Yeah, you don't respect him at all. Just, very hateable and derisable. Yeah, can't take him seriously.
That guy that dresses up even on dress down days. Just no time for it.
I hate that. Obviously, Candy's an amazing family-friendly show. There were kids in the audience. Obviously, Candy's brilliant for that. Bring her out, and it's cheerable and lovely. Was there any concern that Shay, because he's so tied into the Money versus Everybody storyline, if it's your first time at Riptide as a kid, would you know to boo him? Obviously, he's in a suit, so you think, teacher. So you probably would. But was there any concern in advance for you guys? Did you think there'd be any issues with the storytelling? Or
no, I feel like you just got sort of hit the nail on the head there in the fact that, with his attire, with his behaviour, with the fact that he's up against such a clearly cheerable person. Absolutely, there's depth there that people aren't going to be have access to if it's their first show. But functionally, it wasn't particularly too much of a worry, and that it wasn't worrying at all in that regard. I don't think. I very much trust Shay to be able to work heel. Now, if I was being marked on hatred of Shay, would have wanted to have set the scene, but I don't think the full vitriol, the full Brighthelm vitriol of Shay was required necessarily for that match, and therefore it wasn't a worry.
Yeah, and pictures paint 1,000 words. I think Shay's facial expressions are among the best in the biz at the moment.
Oh, mate.
And I think also, like, him without, he sort of played it perfectly, him without Money versus Everybody as well.
Yeah.
Like, because of, his role so far, like, you're not expecting him to be able to do too much.
Yeah.
Because he's not got those guys around him.
Whenever you got a gang of bullies, it was the smug little one who knows he's protected, and when the protection goes...
Yeah, exactly. And it did it did have that vibe to this match as well, which I thought was great.
Excellent. And the last of the tournament matches at this stage was Jordan Breaks versus Connor Mills.
Yeah.
I think maybe match of the night there.
This was my clear match.
Yeah. Very clear.
I loved it.
Absolutely loved it. I'll level with you. I did have a drink with Jordan and Connor after the show, and they did ask me match of the night, and I said OJO and Chapman.
You're such
such
a wank.
But the reason was only that there's a clear antagonist with Chapman. For sheer match quality, Jordan Breaks Connor Mills was exceptional, and I think everyone was expecting it to be. And
I think I had high hopes of this.
I mean,
more.
My perspective on this is that for me, you're actually marking them down on something you should be marking them up on, which is that they had the match tonight without there being a clear heel-face dynamic in the booking.
I tried to express that same sentiment to them, but I was a few beers deep, so I probably tried, that's what I'm saying.
I think they because I think the crowd was hotter for that match rather than the OJMO Chapman match. Different places in the card, obviously, but that's why I call it match tonight. I'd say despite that.
Plus, this is what played into like having that variety as well. You didn't need an obvious heel or face in this match because like what you were seeing was just unbelievable.
Yeah,
and like this was showcasing the talent of the future when those two guys are like on it now.
On it, boy, like, boy.
Yeah,
I mean it was particularly slick and hard hitting. I'm pretty sure Jordan might have owed some money to Mills for some of those. There's a roundhouse kick at one point.
Yeah, his chest was really red, wasn't it? Yeah.
And that was a get to the back and make sure people have been looked at and checked over kind of match, that one.
Yeah.
And seeing Jordan Breaks like bringing out the Stars Clash, I was...
and a Stars Clash.
Yeah, I marked out over the Stars Clash totally because I've never seen anyone apart from AJ do that, and I was just like,
he loves a Stars Clash apparently. Be prepared for some Stars Clashes.
I believe he calls it the Breaks Down.
Breaks Down, nice.
Do love a pun.
Vintage Jordan Breaks.
But no, it was wicked seeing him bust that out.
And the balance between these two guys, because obviously Connor Mills is a bit of, I know he seems like a bit of an all-rounder, but he does a lot of like the springboard off the rope stuff, like more high flying, whereas Jordan Breaks is definitely like a grappler in the technical sense, but they blended that together as well. You
convinced me this was match of the night. I don't know what I was thinking about.
I think you have to be mental to
I thought it was borderline. You tipped it in my favour, that was all.
I think perhaps the moment of the show that I gave me goosebumps was Jordan's just coming out and the ovation for Jordan, particularly after his showing at the Rumble show with the upset victory over Spike, and I think how that's elevated him
as well.
Yeah, I think it was a real it felt like a real, as much as every show had been in Brighton, this really did feel like a homecoming for Jordan.
Well, it's on a similar note, but I have written down, I loved that on his entrance. I'm sure he knew people in the crowd, but he was hand slapping, he was walking around, he looked good. He looked like he was enjoying himself before he even got in the ring. And I know he's a very focused performer when he's in there. He's going to do his technical moves as tightly as possible. But it's really good to see him just take a breather and hopefully feel the love a bit more from the crowd and give it back. It was
absolutely.
It's just nice seeing him show out a bit more, I guess.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, what else have we got? We've got the Lycos Challenge. I can't remember the full title of this. One of you can, I'm sure. It was
I was renamed as the so as a callback to the initial 2017's Kid Lycos replica mask replacement challenge, whereby Kid Lycos was injured and the audience members were invited to wear a replica Lycos mask, as they were currently selling, I believe, from the Rev Pro shop at the time, to potentially be considered for selection as Chris Brooks's tag team partner for that match against Aussie Open. Go watch it on demand; it's pretty good.
Couple of familiar faces to fans of WWE.
A couple of familiar faces to fans of WWE, and a couple now of familiar faces to fans of the Pride of Brighton tournament. If you can see them in there. So now with I asked Chris Brooks if he wanted to do an attack guest match for this show. I thought that would be cool. And why not? Like, really, considering Chris Brooks likes to turn up with a wacky idea or two. Why not just go wacky from the start and say, look, there you go. What do you want to do? And that's what he wanted to do. He's like, okay, Shitwolf Invitational 2 Perma Edition. And that was what. Yeah, that it was Chris Brooks auditioning replacements for Kid Lycos.
So I think it's safe to say, listeners will know I'm a big fan of CCK, and particularly like the Lycos and Brooks combination within it. But I do have a criticism of this match.
You can.
I do. Well, sorry, because it's a show for new fans and children. They did come in and explain the idea of we're looking for a replacement because Lycos had to retire. That was great. And then all the replacements they got in, who are attack regulars, all in Lycos masks or masks of some sort. Once the match got underway, I think it would have been good to have just done a 5 seconds naming of the people, because I know there were people around me going, "Who's that? Who's that?" And it just might be nice to have names to add to the physical bodies in the ring. But maybe not. Maybe I'm underestimating.
I mean, it had Santos.
That wasn't it? Yeah.
Santos.
I mean,
it was Rey Mysterio.
Rey
type.
Mysterio mask. Sorry.
Rey Mysterio from Mexico.
Yeah. Mexican Lycos. It had him in. That was enough for anyone, isn't it? Like, his whole performance in that, and he wasn't even in the match.
That's true.
Yeah, technically, I think you're right there. I mean, I think in terms of what you said about maybe an introduction of the names of these people once they demasked, I think that's you've come up with an easy solution there for part of the problem. That said, it was in there to entice and appeal to and give people a attack Tuesday night graps kind of feel as part of the flavour.
Well, I might be selling people short. Sometimes kids can roll with the chaos.
Yeah, I think also. I mean, I've been to some like a bunch of all age like family shows, and like only thinking about it now, I've realised like yes, they have like more heightened like I guess panto villains and faces and stuff, but I've never seen like the fun matches that Riptide puts on, and like they are perfect for family, like like all the silly stuff that goes on, like kids love that stuff, and they're actually that my experience, they don't actually get any of that in those shows.
No, it's an excellent point. I stand corrected.
What it lacked in, perhaps, sense and continuity, it gained in lots of high-flying moves, lots of spectacular stunts and things.
Yeah, I think any kid would have been won over with the, I don't know what to call it, elastic band spot.
Oh,
like
the yoga band.
Stretching.
Yeah.
Me and the wife were underneath that, and she was like
terrified.
I was having to cover it. You'll be all right.
Well, that was fun anyway. And then we had a tag team match. Again, this isn't in order. Anti-Fun Police versus Gene Money and Sugar Dunkerton. All I've written is what you'd expect in a good way.
Yeah. I mean, there it is. Yeah. What a bunch of silly bastards.
Providing the write-up for this match, and it was the Anti-Fun Police hate fun, Gene Money and Sugar Dunkerton love fun. What could go wrong? Easy to advertise that one.
Yeah. Oh, it is. I knew that was going to be class as soon as I saw it, advertised, because again, Sugar and Gene, like, I haven't seen them. I know of them and I knew of them, but I haven't seen them wrestle. And them, coming out of the Rumble was great, and they were amazing. So like seeing both of them in this match was just like perfect.
Yeah.
If it's not going to be Session Moth, I'm happy it's these guys.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're along with Cassius, as you say, they're two guys that booked themselves from their how their debuts were received at the Rumble. Let's go.
And I loved, even though, like, family friendly thing, and then there was that whole bit with Gene and all his trunks.
Yeah.
How many pairs has he got on?
Yeah, Josh and I were sweating quite profusely.
And then be charged with a crime if this goes on.
Yeah. There was, for a family-friendly show, there was a bare bum on the show. But what's funnier than a bare bum for a kid?
Yeah, nothing, and like it's. Yeah, nothing's funnier than nothing's funnier than a naked man.
Sozo.
I think the only other mental note I had for the match is there is a spot involving nipple tape and the removal of nipple tape. And I've watched death matches and I've seen people pierced and punctured and bleeding, and this is one of the things that really made me wince.
Especially if you, like the recipient of that nipple tape pulling, Mr. G Money, have sensitive nipples, which is why he wears the tape. It's particularly unpleasant for the man. Gruesome.
Him and Drax, right there.
Gruesome.
It was tremendous fun, which I'm sorry to the police there, but it just was. Sometimes I think they invite fun by being so anti-fun. I don't know.
That's controversial, mate.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm ruining any kayfabe, or it doesn't really matter, does it? But on this show, I don't think I'm ruining anything by saying I saw Sugar Dunkerton when he got to the venue before the event, and he just walked past me, sort of strutting, dancing, and going, "Woo! Let's make some money!" Which I think, sugar lives sugar. Sugar is sugar.
Oh, mate, Sugar Dunkerton is to steal a line from the present William Eaver is him turned down, if anything. But I mean, I loved seeing that. It was an FSM interview with the present William Eaver referring to his character, saying that that his character is him turned down, if anything, which I loved, and it's also applicable to Big Shug.
So on to the main event: Robbo versus Karen Noir. But it was Robbo's first solo match at a Riptide show, and he got straight in as a headliner. How do you justify this as a booker?
It's fucking Robbo, mate.
Yeah, that's fine.
Have you ever? I mean, hey, listen. No, really, just incredibly experienced wrestler, incredibly just a banker, as someone that's going to get a reaction. Fantastic dance partner for Cara Noir, pun intended, and. Yeah,
we think Paul Robinson is a major star, and it was his first singles match. So in my mind, that does justify it being the main event in that it's his first singles match.
That's fine. I think it's completely justified. I just thought I should at least throw the question.
Actually,
MJ, he's a very established wrestler on the UK scene. He has a wealth of experience.
Sorry, I'm going to stop.
You're doing an impression of me from the last show, trying to build this show up.
Brett, you mentioned earlier you're terrified of Paul Robinson, but also I know you're a fan of Cara Noir. Yes. How did you find the match?
Again, loved it. Cara's matches are always going to be my favourite. If it wasn't for Mills and Jordan Breaks, this again would have been my favourite. I just think everything he brings to the table, just in hard hitting, but because of his background and his what he enjoys and stuff, just the way he moves through the ring, whether it's through the air or just in general, everything is silky. And terrified of Paul Robinson. Character wise, he's great.
It was what you want from a main event. It was hard hitting and very clear who to cheer and who to boo, but you can still be impressed by both of them.
Yeah, I love how over Cara got early on with Riptide as well. Because the first time I saw him came out, just the entrance, I was this guy's awesome. Yeah. And then because he was in a few scrambles, I think initially, wasn't he? So seeing that he's got that step up sort of thing, and then into the singles matches he's had. This is great seeing him against, like you say, an established guy like Paul Robinson.
Yeah, I'd put. I mean, we just don't have enough matches to give him. Cara Noir, my God, it's phenomenal. I don't try and use him while we can to be. To be
as
frank,
much as
honest,
you can while you can.
Much as we can while we can. To be perfectly honest with you, I've said it. I've referenced it before. His pop for his Rumble entrance. So there was about 3 people that did the double that night. Cara was one of them, and by a long way got the biggest reaction. He got a bigger reaction when he coming out for the second time, which no one else got, apart from maybe Jordan Breaks. But you had Aussie Open and Chris Brooks, coming out for the second time in the Rumble, having wrestled, and didn't get anywhere near the reception that Cara Noir got. And to me, that's incredibly significant, given the names that we're talking about here. Names that and it's not just names; it's names with a context and a history in Riptide. It's a testament to how popular he is, let alone how popular he's set to become.
I mean, I think if we're looking back on this show as a whole, I think it was easily one of my favourite of all the Riptide shows. I think the new venue I thought really added to it. I think the match quality was exceptional. And on a personal note, I like seeing family-friendly shows because I like how excited kids get. I think the more they get into it, the more I can get into it.
Absolutely.
Definitely. They're always amazing. Everything is as true as can be with kids watching it. There was one kid, he was sort of holding half his face half through some of the people like Paul Robinson and stuff. He was sort of shying away terrified.
Shikara made a kid cry at the start. We forgot to bring that
she
up.
made me cry talking about my hairline, but
she does that to me too.
That's why I don't talk to her.
Tenured wrestling fans, I'm just as gooey as anybody, but you go along to a show and you have the entire back catalogue of all the wrestling you've watched to compare it to, and you're sitting there and you're judging and thinking about constructive criticisms and all that sort of stuff. With kids, it's just you're in the moment.
Sucked
good
in
guy,
completely.
bad guy. Everything rides on this.
It was a great show, and I think if we were on the family-friendly front, we should probably promote the next family-friendly show you've got.
Fuck yeah!
Yeah, Bank Holiday Wrestling, 26th of August at the Brighton Open Air Theatre. The tournament is getting concluded there.
The tournament will be concluded. Yes, semi-finals and finals.
I'm looking at the little image now. Brett, as you're here to answer this, is the little worm going to be involved in the match? Do you know? Is he making a cameo?
I've not spoken to him for a few weeks, so
1 inch.
I don't know.
That is not a little worm.
Yeah.
It's fucking massive.
he got so big and so over from the advertising that he's done with me now.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, I've just been brushed aside.
Yeah, I'm trying to book him, but it's pricey.
Now the first for you guys, outdoor venue. Hoping the weather holds.
Yeah, fucking hell. It's one of those that the policy of the venue is very much to run the show. Obviously, if we're getting into issues where it's going to be unsafe for the wrestlers to perform, that's when stuff gets cancelled, and you'll be very happy to know, patrons of people that have already bought tickets or planning on buying tickets, that the ticket money does remain with the venue until after the show. So if there is any kind of cancellation due to weather or anything like that, that money will be readily available as refunds if there is a cancellation.
That's not going to happen anyway. We don't need
but that's not going to happen anyway, and it's not to say that we wouldn't. The show wouldn't go ahead if there was a bit of rain. It's going to be very much a cricket kind of situation where there's going to be measures there for us to have measures to dry the ring and to dry the ropes. If we have a little shower, obviously prolonged stuff, there could be an issue depending on where we are in the show, depending on what matches are there to go. Because you can have Okada and Suzuki having a match in the pouring rain, and it looking absolutely fucking epic. Fuck. You can have that, and the discussion with the people that are maybe going out there is, are you prepared to adjust your style to be able to do this? But yes, considerations of all sort of levels of weather are being taken into consideration, and your ticket money will be safe if you buy a ticket for this show.
Well, let's end this episode on where they can get those tickets, which is www.riptidewrestling.com.
Oh baby!
And you could also buy the stickers for the Pride of Brighton tournament.
Whoa!
Just pointing it out.
They're gorgeous. They're bloody gorgeous.
They are. They're very
gents.
cool.
Shiny. Magpies will love them.
And maybe you want to get a set because maybe somewhere down the line you'll be able to stick them on something or in something. I should say.
This is supposed to be family friendly, John.
Hey, listen. Don't...
Thank you for joining me, gentlemen.
Bye.